Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a Python application to view CSV files. Alright, so one of the things I like to do every time when I have a new CSV file is I like to know what the data set looks like. And one thing I found pretty annoying is every time, let's say I'm on a page and there's a link I need to click to download a CSV file. I want to be able to immediately see the data content. And to do that, here I create a very simple Python utility. So here, let me give you an example. So on the San Francisco Open Data website, here we have the data set to the film locations in San Francisco. And if I click on the export button, and we have different options to download the source data as different file type. And if I click on CSV, then it's going to prompt me to save the CSV file on my desktop. And I'm going to cancel that. So here what I can do is I can right click, get the download link, and I'll go back to my application. In the data source field, I can either provide a CSV file path, or I can input a link. Then I can click on retrieve. And this application will look at the source and display the data in my Python application. So if I look at this table, so if I go to the last row, so unfortunately there are some functionalities that I haven't implemented to this application, but this is a prototype. And here we have a drop down, which allows you to search your data set based on different columns. Alright, so zooming down to search my data set by the title column. And let's search for San Francisco. Oh, and it's going to be case sensitive. And from all these records, we have the word San Francisco in it. And if I want to change the filter to, let's do release year. And I can search for the year. Let's do 2018. And all these records, all these films are released in year 2018. And that's everything I'm going to demonstrate for this application. Alright, so let's get started. So here I have a blank Python script called app.py. And I'll be using PyQt6 to construct the application. So for this application, I'm going to import the system module, pandas module. And from PyQt6 .qt widgets, I'm going to import Q application, Q widget, Q combo box, Q line edit, Q table view, Q push button, Q label. And for the layout manager, here let's import both Q horizontal box layout and vertical box layout. Now we're going to import the classes from Qt core module. I'm going to import Qt class first, and to manage the data set, I'm going to use the Q abstract table model class. And Q viewing, Q model index. Alright, so first I'm going to insert my code snippet for the main routine. Alright, so let's continue. I want to embed an icon. So from PyQt6.qt GUI module, I'm going to import the Q icon class. Alright, so here let's construct the data model class. And because I'm going to be using pandas library to manage the data set, I'll name the class pandas model. And I'll pass Q abstract table model as the parent class. Alright, so for the constructor or the initialize method, I'm going to have a parameter to accept a data frame object as an argument. Alright, so here let's create our variables. And here I'm going to create a variable called _df. Alright, so when we are implementing our own table model, there are some building methods we need to handle internally. So the first method is going to be the header data. And this building method takes 3 parameters: session, orientation, and row. And for the row, I'm going to set the default to display row. And because we're using PyQt6, so we need to reference the namespace. It should be item data row dot display row. And here I'm going to insert an if condition. If the row is other than, it's not equals to qt dot item display row dot display row, they want to return as a qvariant object. And if orientation is equals to qt dot orientation dot horizontal, and I think this is the column header, they want to reference the data frame object, and then we need to figure out which columns is this orientation referring to. So we can do that by convert the data frame columns to a list, and from the sections argument, this is going to give us the column index. Then I'm going to insert another if condition. Else if orientation is equals to qt dot orientation, and this time I want to check against the row orientation. Right, so because we might run into index error, so here it means try except block, and I want to check against index error exception. Then I want to return as a qvariant, and this one too. Right, so the next method we need to handle is the row count. And this method will return the table records count. And for the parent, we're going to set the default to qModelIndex. From the shape attribute, and it's going to be the first element. And we need to do the same for column count. And to display the data, we're going to use data method. And here we have the index and the row. And again, I'm going to set the row value to display row as the default. Inside the function, I'm going to insert if condition. If row is not equals to qt dot item display row is not equals to display row, then I want to return as a qvariant. And if the index is not valid, then I want to return as a qvariant as well. But if you provide something inside the qvariant class, and this is basically the text we want to display. And because these two validations are passed, so we're going to assume that we're getting some valid text or some valid string back. Alright, so here we can reference the cell address or the cell location from the index argument. So the index argument or this index object contains the cell's information such as the cell's value, cell's address, cell's row index, column index, and other things. So we can reference the cell row index by referencing the row method followed by the column index. Alright, so that's going to be everything we need to write to construct this pandas model class. Now let's go back to my app class. Now let's give our window application a title. Next, I want to display my icon. And when we initialize the application, I'm going to set my df object as none. Alright, so let's create a method called initiate UI. So this method will construct the widgets. Inside the init UI method, we're going to create a layout manager. I'm going to create a horizontal box layout object. And it's going to be the layout manager to manage the top labels. And let's name this as source layout. Then I'll add the layout to my main layout. Then I'll add the layout manager to my self.layout object. Now let's create the label. When I perform the keyboard shortcut Alt-D, I want to set the focus to the input field. And let's create the input field. Then we're going to use the setBody method to set the focus to the self.dataSourceField object. Alright, so the next thing we need to add to our layout is the push button. And let's name the push button retrieve. And those are the widgets I want to insert to my source layout. Alright, so let me take a look. And you have a typo. Let's see, Q abstract. Hidden model. Oops. Right, so with my widgets. Oh, I know why I forgot to call the init UI method. Alright, so here's my push button, input field, and my display label. Now let's create the search field. And for the search field, let's create a layout manager. And again, I'm going to use horizontal box layout. And I'll add the layout to my self.layout object. For the search field, let's name the field self.search field is equals to qline edit. So I'm going to fire the text change event every time when the field is updated. So this is going to be text change. Actually, this will be a text change signal. I'm going to insert a placeholder for now. Text change to do. And this one too. Now I want to add the search field to my source layout. The next thing we're going to create is the combo box that display all the columns. The last widget we're going to insert is the table view widget, which is going to be used to display the data set. Now let's just name the object self.table. I want to set the sorting setting to true, and the method is going to be set sorting enabled. And I also want to be able to move around my columns. And to enable that setting, we need to reference horizontal headers method that set sections movable. I'll need to set the setting to true. Then I'm going to add the table view widget to the layout object. Now let me change the dimension to 1400 by 700. Actually, yeah, let's do 800. I think that's too big. Let's do 1100 by 500. Right, I think that looks pretty good. Now we have two to-do items we need to handle. So the first one is the click signal tied to the push button. So when we click on the push button, we want to perform the operation to retrieve the data. So let's call this method retrieve data set. I'm going to insert try except block. Actually, let's go back. I want to insert one more item to the GUI. Let's call this a label. It should start as label. And I'll set the default text to empty string. Then I'll add the label to my layout object. And here I want to display the end message using the status label. Alright, so inside the try block, let's get the source link first. So from self.data source field .text. And to retrieve the data set as a data frame object, I'm going to use pd.readCSV method. Then I'll create my pandas model object. And let's name the model self.model is equals to pandas model. And we'll pass the data frame object. And for the table view widget, we're going to link the model with the self.model object. Alright, so every time we're getting a new set of data set, we need to refresh the combo box. So we'll clear everything. Then we're going to add the columns using the add items followed by self.df.columns. And then we'll take this method, assign that to the push button click signal. And for the search functionality, let's name the method search item. And this method will take a QModelIndex object. Right, so here we're going to check if data frame is empty or not. So here I can say if self.df is none, then we're going to return, okay. Then we're going to exit the function. Otherwise, we're going to get the column index first. So from self.df.columns, we can use the get loc function to get the column index. And the column name can be coming from the combo box current text. Now we're going to perform the search operation. So I'm going to insert a loop for I in range and from self.model.row count. So this will give us the total row count. Iterate each item from self.model.index Here, let me rename the variable to row index. And this will be column index dot data. If this condition is met, then we know the value that we are trying to search is met. So we want to make sure that the row is visible. So we can do that by using the self.table.setRowHeading method. And we'll provide the row index, and we'll set the property setting to false, meaning that we don't want to hide the row based on this row index. Otherwise, we're going to do the opposite. And I'll assign this method to the, let's see, to do search field text change signal. Alright, so this is going to be everything we need to write to create this application. Now let's do a test run. Actually, there's one more thing I want to do. I want to use CSV style sheet to modify some of the widgets' heights and widths. Alright, so going back to the constructor, and we can change the CSV style sheet to the myApp class using the setStyleSheet method. So here I'm going to comment out the try except block. I need to know which line is giving me an error. And it's this line right here. And I can see I have the data frame return. And to narrow down the section, so I'm going to come out the data method. Let me try again. Oh, I know why. I think I know why. Because this should be table model, not an item model. So here I made a huge mistake. This will be QAbstract table model. Now let me try again. Oh, okay, so I know why. So here I have a typo. This should be init. Here we go. Alright, so at this point, we're basically trying to fix all the typos that I made. Alright, so this time I was able to display the data set. I want to remove the print statement. And just to make sure I capture everything. So from the combo box, I should expect all the columns. And let's say if I want to search for any location that contains the text coffee. Oh, this is going to be case sensitive. Okay, so this is not working. Let's take a look. Oh, oops. This will be self.search item. Okay, so if I search for coffee, and these are the records that has the location's name contains coffee. And just one more thing, I noticed that I have some null values. So what we can do here is we can, when we retrieve the data set, And to quickly address the null value, I'm going to use the fill NA method. I will replace all the null value with empty string. Right, so if I want to search for all the records have the status active, I'll change my combo box to status. Then I'll search for active. Alright, so I guess that's pretty much it. And this is going to be everything I'm going to share in this tutorial. And hopefully you guys found this video useful. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.